Chinook helicopters carrying Delta Force special operatives flew into Caracas, killed President Nicolas Maduro's Cuban security team, and then escorted him to New York where he was perp-walked, as if they're Romans capturing a king and parading him through the streets of Rome. Not only did Americans go kidnap a sovereign head of state with no jurisdiction, they made it impossible to seek an arrangement with Venezuela. Even if some negotiation takes place, it's going to end up in bad faith because Venezuela's lost trust in the US, and rightfully so. Basically, the US military invaded a foreign country and kidnapped their president along with his wife, oddly. Is it normal to take family members? And somehow he changed outfits 4 times. Has anyone else who's been arrested been given a rotating wardrobe like this? He looks like he's got athletic wear sponsorship deals. None of it is surprising, though, considering the international banking cartel which steers our global geopolitical theater announced their intention to install their chosen puppet. Why is Twitter's algorithm elevating fake AI videos of Venezuelans celebrating the kidnapping of Maduro? Elon Musk is seeking minerals like lithium in Venezuela. He became very interested in the country when Maria Corina Machado ran for president in 2024. Could she have promised some plunder or bounty by surrendering Venezuela's resource sovereignty while she was on her campaign for the Nobel Peace Prize? She put forward a $1.7 trillion plan to hand over Venezuela's resources to U.S. government cronies at a business conference in South Florida. And for the people who insist Machado is cool because she won the Nobel Peace Prize, that's really not the flex they think it is. I wouldn't brag about being associated with the likes of Henry Kissinger and his ilk. On one hand, we have entities that affect power directly, like corporations, defense contractors, AI. On the other hand, we have soft legitimizers like awards, think tanks, NGOs, the institutions that decide who is praised and who is shunned. The Nobel Prize is part of that second category. It doesn't use force, it just tells the public who to cheer for. When the prize goes to someone aligned with Western policy and Israeli military policy and US government foreign policy, that isn't about peace, it's about profit. When the symbolic power moves in sync with globalist power, that's not coincidence. It's designed that way to control public perception. If you're wondering why the US engages in regime change, it's as much about oil as it is about the US dollar. It's about keeping the dollar as the reserve currency. The government will still sell the oil to our adversaries. They just need to control the currency, otherwise they lose their ability to sanction countries like Venezuela in order to cripple whoever they want, like the mafia organized crime family that they are. Venezuela won't be allowed to sell oil using BRICS currency as opposed to US dollars because that would undermine US financial global dominance. That's why Donald Trump said he doesn't want Russia, China, and Iran to have Venezuela's oil, but he's happy to sell it to them. Selling in US dollars benefits the global financiers. There's also an underlying tension with China at play. A Chinese delegation was visiting Venezuela at the time of the president's capture. Maduro met with the Chinese envoy at the Miraflores presidential palace just hours before the airstrike. Interesting timing. Is that a message to China? What do you think? Next will likely be a years-long phony legal spectacle, and I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. The case is going to be presided over by a 92-year-old Clinton appointee. Yes, that's right. The judge is 92 years old. Please retire. Although discovery might prove interesting if the defense team is allowed to bring up the role of the CIA in drug running. Something is conspicuously absent from the charges against Maduro, though: the drugs they claim he had. They've been fear-mongering non-stop about fentanyl, but none of the charges brought against him in court even mention fentanyl. When the US government decides that a country's resources matter more than their sovereignty, the only real barrier is the cost of taking them. Venezuela shows how oil and rare earths can turn any nation into a geopolitical battleground. rather than a protected state. And the grift goes deep. Vultures are desperate to get in there, and they can't do it while Venezuela asserts its sovereignty. There are a lot of people who would cheer Trump's removal, or would have cheered Obama's removal. Does that make it a good thing to do by force? Does that make it okay to bomb us, like the US did in Venezuela? For the people saying Venezuelans want this, according to mainstream media, there is conveniently always support for US intervention reported in the corporate rags. Frankly, I'm unconvinced. It's like a bunch of bots parroting the same canned lines. AstroTurfed opinions, intentionally spread by misinformation agents, intended to manufacture consent for regime change. But for argument's sake, let's indulge in this fantasy through a thought experiment. Hypothetically, even if Venezuelans wanted their leader out, they can do it themselves. They have a population, they have their own military, there is no foreign entity required to meddle in the situation. They don't need our permission or our tax dollars. We don't need to be Team America World Police. Thanks for listening. This is Estella Jordan.